Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Phantom Knight deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an amazing deck that can establish some really awesome boards, and it's super fun to be able to play. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. This card is one of the best cards in the entire deck, because this card is a walking Foolish Burial for your Phantom Knight cards, because you can discard a card and then send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card. And if another Phantom Knight card is in your graveyard, is banished while this card is in your graveyard, you can actually special summon this card back to your side of the field, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is an insanely powerful effect about this card, that you can use this card as an extender or as a Foolish Burial. We then play 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Silent Boots. This card is an awesome extender in the deck, is if you control a Phantom Knights monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field. You can also banish this card from your graveyard to be able to add a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect to be able to use this card to search a bunch of really powerful cards from your deck. We then play 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Ancient Cloak. I feel like 2 copies is totally fine in the deck. This card is a great effect that you can banish this card from the graveyard to add the Phantom Knight card from your deck to your hand. You set another copy of this card, but it has to have the in the card's name to be able to search that card from the deck. So you can't actually search out cards like Phantom Knights Fogblade because it doesn't have the at the beginning of the name. We then play a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Ragged Gloves. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck because it has a great effect that you can banish this card from your graveyard to send a Phantom Knights card from your deck to the grave, which is great to use this card as a Foolish Burial from the grave, and even get cards like your copy of Torn Scales effect to go off to special summon itself back to your side of the field. This card also gives a Dark XZ monster a little bit of a boost when you use this card as a material, because it gives that monster an additional 1,000 attack points if it uses this card as an XZ material. We then play a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Stained Greaves. I feel like 1 is totally fine in the deck. This card is just a great extender in the deck, but I only feel like you need a single copy of this card. We then play 2 copies of Kagamusha Knight. This card might as well be a Phantom Knights card, but this card is really good in the deck because when you normal summon a level 3 monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is just really good to use this card as an extender because it's a level 3 Dark Warrior monster that can help you go in for XZ plays. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. This card is one of the best normal summons in the entire deck, besides your copies of the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. But this card is great because when it's normal summon, you can special summon out a level 3 Fiend monster from your hand or deck. We then play a single copy of Skarm. Skarm is really good in this deck as a 1-of because it has the ability during the end phase, if this card was sent to the graveyard, then you can add a level 3 Dark Fiend monster from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Graph. Graph is also a great 1-of the deck that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually special summon a Burning Abyss monster from your deck. This card is great to be able to combo with your copy of Tour Guide because you can normal summon out Tour Guide, special summon Graph, link him away for Cherubini, and then use the effect of Graph to be able to special summon our 1-of copy of Seer, which will then help you link climb even further into your copy of Rusty Bardiche. But this card is great as a 1-of because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually target a Burning Abyss monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which can be your copy of Cherubini, which is really good to be able to use in this deck. We then play a single copy of Psychic Wielder. Psychic Wielder is a good 1-of because if you control level 3 monster, except a copy of Psychic Wielder, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a great effect. 1 copy of Psychic Tracker, which pretty much has the exact same effects, to be able to special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field if you control a level 3 monster other than another copy of this card. We then play a single copy of Dangerous Tsuchinoko. This card is basically a extender for the deck that all of your danger monsters share a common effect that you can reveal them in your hand. Your opponent randomly picks a card in your entire hand, discards the chosen card of the graveyard, and if it wasn't the danger monster revealed, you special summon that danger monster. But if your danger monster gets discarded, you actually get a really cool unique effect. If this card is discarded, you get to special summon this card to your field. If you did special summon out this card by its effect, by revealing it, it actually lets you draw a card, which is really cool, which all of your danger monsters share that ability. We then play a single copy of Danger Jackalope. Jackalope's really good as a 1-of as well because this card is super easy to summon to your side of the field. It has a a great effect in this deck that basically, if this card is discarded, you can special summon a danger monster from the deck in defense position, which is always going to be your copy of your Danger Tsuchinoko, aka Danger Noodle. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just really good as a 3 of in this deck to basically stop your opponent from touching the deck, and it's a great card in this deck because it is a level 3, so you can normal summon it in a pinch, which is really nice. We then also play 2 copies of a really awesome tech card, which is going to be 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. I love this card in the deck. It's a great extender in the deck because you can actually special summon it off your copies of your E-Telly, which is really good to be able to special summon it off of E-Telly, and its effect can even activate while it's on the field, which is really good. This card is great to be able to pop cards that are on the field, and it's a great 2 of in this build. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is really good as a 1 in the deck because all of our Phantom Knight monsters are warriors and they're level 4 or lower, so you can search any of them from the deck off this card. We then play a single copy of Foolish Burial. A lot of our Phantom Knight monsters actually have graveyard effects, so this card is great to send the exact card you need to the graveyard when you need it. We then play a single copy of Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Force. This card is great in the deck as a 1-of to help us rank up our monsters into even more powerful monsters by banishing dark monsters from the graveyard, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is just really good in the deck as well because this card lets us special summon a psychic monster from the deck, which we actually have 4 targets in the deck with our copy of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, which we play at 2, Psychic Wielder, and Psychic Tracker, which is really good to be able to just special summon out those cards directly from the deck without even using our normal summon. We then play 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet is insane in this deck because you want a lot of your Phantom Knight cards in the graveyard, so this card is just really good as a 3 of in this particular build. You can play any other hand trap that you want in this build, like Impermanence if you want to, but I still really like this card as a 3 of because it helps you get cards out of your hand a little bit easier in this deck while also negating cards and halving the attack points of monsters, which is just really good. This card is insane because you can not only discard your monsters, but you can also discard cards like your Phantom Knight Fogblade or Phantom Knight Wing, which is actually going to be Monster Reborns in the graveyard, which is really cool. But this card is a really good 3 of in this deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with a single copy of Shade Brigandine. Shade Brigandine is insane as a 1 of the deck, because this card is just a great extender, because it has the ability to special summon this card in defense position as a normal monster that's a warrior, dark, level 4, 0 attack, and 300 defense, which is a really good effect. If you have no traps in your grave, you can actually activate this card the same turn it was set, which is a really cool effect about this card, and it's actually why I don't play Impermanence in this build, is because of this card. We then play a single copy of the Phantom Knight's Wing. Phantom Knight's Wing is a really good 1-of as well in this particular build. Lets you target a face-up monster on the field. It gains 500 attack, and also the first time it would be destroyed by a battle by card effect, this turn it is not destroyed. And you can also banish this card from your graveyard, and then target the Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great effect to use this card as a Monster Reborn. We then play 3 copies of Phantom Knight's Fogblade. Phantom Knight's Fogblade is a definite 3-of in the build. This card is basically Fiendish Chain, which is really cool, but the only downside to this card is the monster that this card is attached to cannot attack, and monsters cannot attack that monster, which is a little bit of a downside, and this card can be a little bit of a pain to out, which is why I like to actually play the Droplet, because Droplet can out this card, which is really neat after you've used its ability. I love this card because when it's in the graveyard, it actually has a great effect that you can banish this card from the graveyard and then target the Phantom Knight monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great effect to use this card as a Monster Reborn, just like your copy of Phantom Knight's Wings. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardige. This card is the main card you're going to be trying to get out of the extra deck all the time, is this card is going to get you at minimum 2 copies of Fogblade, which is insane. It has the ability that during your main phase, you can send the Phantom Knight monster from your deck to the graveyard to set a Phantom Knight spell or trap from your deck in your spell and trap card zone, which is a really good effect to be able to send a copy of Silent Boots to the graveyard, set a copy of Fogblade, and then banish Silent Boots to get a card that you need that's a a Phantom Knight spell or trap like one of your rank up magics, or another copy of Fogblade to give you 2 negates, which is really cool. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa. Appaloosa is just really good because it's easy to make in this deck, and it's a great one-up to be able to put multiple monster negates on the field. We then play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, 1 copy of IP Masquerena to be able to make your copy of Unicorn during the opponent's turn, and a single copy of Cherubini. Cherubini is a great combo piece in the deck because you can normal summon out Tour Guide, special summon out Graph, make this card, and then use the effect of your Graph to special summon out Seer. This card actually lets you send a level 3 monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is great for this deck. Then you use the copy of your Graph on the field with this card to make a copy of another card, which is just a great effect. Your copy of Seer plus this card to make your copy of your Rusty, which is just really good in this deck to be able to climb into Rusty that way. And you can actually use the Seer that you special summon to be able to actually bring back your copy of Cherubini, which is really good to be able to put on your side of the field. I love that combo in the deck, and it's basically the bread and butter combo of this build, which is really cool. We then play 2 copies of the Phantom Knights of Breaksword. Breaksword is really good because it pops a card on your field and pops a card on your opponent's field, which is really good about this card. And it's really great because if this card is destroyed by a card effect, you can actually target 2 of the Phantom Knight monsters with the same level in your graveyard, special summon them to your side of the field, and increase their level by 1, which is a really good effect to be able to use for this card to help you make rank 4s in this deck. We then play a single copy of Levenair the Sea Dragon. Levenair the Sea Dragon is a great one-of in this build because it actually target a banish monster that's level 4 or lower and special summon it to your side of the field by just detaching material from this card, which is just a great effect. We then play a single copy of Time Thief Redoer. Redoer is really good to be able to summon to your side of the field off the 2 monsters that you summon off your Breaksword's effects to be able to put them back on the field and increase their level by 1. This card is just really good in the deck. We then play a single copy of Dark Rebellion XZ Dragon. This card is great as a one-of in the deck and just really classic to be able to play in this build to help you rank this card up into a copy of Dark Requiem XZ Dragon. This is the card that we're actually going to be ranking up into with our copy of our rank up magic spell. This card is really neat in the deck. It's a walking negate, and it's a really good card to help you OTK the opponent. We then play a single copy of Raider's Knight. Raider's Knight is really good to be able to summon off your copy of Breaksword's effect, which is just really good to be able to summon out this card, because this card helps you make your copy of Arc Rebellion XZ Dragon, which Arc Rebellion XZ Dragon is the OTK machine of the deck. You detach material from this card, negate the effects of all face-up cards that are currently on the field, and has a great effect to gain the attack points of every single monster on the field, and it also just can be the only monster that can attack on your field when you activate that effect, which is not that big of a deal because you're pretty much just going to OTK your opponent at that point. We then play a single copy of Downer Magician to be able to make in this deck, so you can give your copy of Zeus, which we also play as a one-of in the deck, an additional material so you can board wipe again. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Phantom Knight deck before, you definitely should give this deck a try. It's really fun. It has some really insane combos. You can establish multiple negates with this deck in a single turn, and it's just really, really cool. I love Phantom Knights, and it's just a really fun deck to play. So, anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.